Welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. We are your hosts, Danny and Keely, and we are so glad that you're here. Welcome back to the show. Coming Out Happy podcast is all about being LGBTQ+, dating struggles, and so much more.
If you like what you hear, make sure you leave us a 5-star review and rating. We can't wait to hear from you. And as always, welcome back to the show. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for tuning in today. This morning, we're going to be talking about our first date. You know, Danny and I met online, so we chatted for a while, but our first date was, there was a lot of pressure involved. I feel like because when I met Danny, when I first saw her online, I had this overwhelming feeling about her, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And later on, she didn't tell me this obviously at first, but later on, she told me that she felt the same way. When my profile came across to her, she sent me a DM, and she was really, really nervous about it. And she couldn't figure out why. And so when we had our first date, there was a lot of pressure that led up to it because we had been talking and we really liked each other. So let's dive into a little bit of our story. Danny, what was that like for you on your end?
Are you talking about on the date or before the date?
Let's talk a little bit before we go into all the date details because we'll get to that.
Sure.
Let's talk about how you felt before. What were you feeling when we were about to go on our date, or what was the vibe of it?
We were already talking about being together, as most couples do. And, I think this is why we talk against it. It was because, honestly, as we followed most of what we've seen other people do, I realized how awful it actually is. And I've been doing that all my life. It's like move fast, because you have them and, you don't want to let them go. But I saw really how bad it was. In the moving fast part. So obviously we dive into that in other videos and other topics. But yeah, we moved fast and it really didn't lead to good things because of that. But we figured out a way to make it work ourselves. I'm saying I wish we took it a little bit slower.
Yeah, me too.
Is what I'm trying to get across.
It did work out, but it was a lot of work and we had to backtrack a lot. Because we had moved fast, and then we were like, wait, we need to set up our relationship. We need to build a healthy foundation and, set our boundaries and stuff like that before we dove into everything, all the fun stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Even from the first message, I talked to her about food, and I know we talked about this on a previous podcast.
Say your opening line and say my response. I found Danny's Instagram, I think I'm not sure who it was, but I found her Instagram and then I liked a few pictures. I was like, oh, she's really cute. I saw she was singing and all these, great videos, and I was like, wow, she is great. And I just was like, wow, I'm going to like a few videos and see what happens from there. And she actually sent me a DM right away. So tell everyone what you said to me.
I found something that I liked about her profile because I didn't want to slide in and be like, you're really pretty, because that just wasn't what I felt was right at the time. So I commented on her food, what was it?
Highlight.
And I said, this whole highlight is amazing because I'm a huge foodie and I was like, I love all of this. And then what did you respond with?
Well, my response is a bit embarrassing, but I'll say it anyway. I said, Mama likes to eat, winky face.
Woo-hoo.
Not really sure why I said that, but I just felt it was fitting. And also my personality is definitely silly, and I wanted to show that in the first message because really from the first message you get an impression of what that person's like, and I was like, I'm a really silly person. I want to reply that and see if she kind of picks up on my humor. And what did you think when I said that? Because that was definitely a weird response.
No, I thought it was awesome. It was like you were trying to be funny with me and I loved it.
Oh,
that
that's
was
so
that
cute.
was cool. And then we were just getting to know each other through the first couple of messages, and then we moved on to texting. And then what happened from there?
Yeah, no, we were just texting for a while, and I know that we set up some FaceTimes after that. I think you were traveling during the first couple days that we met or something. I was actually moving to California, not because of Danny, but she was already here, and my family was moving here, so I was like, oh, I'll go, and I'm from Colorado, so I just picked up and went to California, and we ended up meeting each other maybe 2 weeks later after we met, and that was the first date. So let's talk about...
we didn't want to spend, forever FaceTiming, because I know we had a few FaceTime calls.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I really like her. I want to meet her in person. We really hit it off. We had a lot of things that were in common, and we laughed a lot together. I always remember us laughing together, and I loved that. So I was like, I gotta meet her in person, and that was that first date.
What do you mean that was the first date?
That was the first date. We were leading up to that, so let's dive into it. That was the first date, yeah.
I was like, we didn't talk about that.
So you planned it, kind of.
Yeah, so
I was so nervous.
She drove down to go see me, and
and let me just add this. The day that I was supposed to go see her, my car, like, completely broke. I was supposed to see her in the afternoon. I had to take my car in, and it got fixed. Oh, my gosh. I was so nervous. I was like, I'm not going to get to see her. I was trying to be on time for the date, and I was really stressed. And so I ended up getting it fixed, but I made it just in time to see her. But anyway, so she planned, like, a 4 o'clock date because we want to see each other in daylight.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, I think it was really great, but, like, you know, I think something interesting, and we can always go into, like, what that date was about, but I want to talk about, like, before, like, all those feelings. Like I said, like, we moved kind of fast of, like, talking online and texting and then video chatting and then moving to in person. And it was a lot of, like, big expectations from each other that, you know, because I'm 25, so I was like, I'm so sick of dating. I just want to be with someone already. Like, when is this dating period gonna end? So with that in mind with me, I was like, oh, like, but of course, like, I don't know. I want to be honest with everyone, because when you're dating after, like, you're in your, like, mid-20s, there's something different that you go into with a mindset of, I want something serious. I don't feel like playing around anymore, and I just, like, I want this to be right. And that's kind of why, like, a bunch of the time our relationship was rushed, because I was like, well, I may want to try to, like, make this work. Like, what if I don't find someone else again? Because I had been dating kind of on and off for, like, a few years, but, like, I took a lot of time to get to, like, know myself, which was really great. But at some point I was just, like, I was just bored. I really was, like, with my dating life. But then you came along and, like, you really did make me feel good. And I knew that it wasn't just, like, I'm sick of dating. I just, like, really wanted to get to know you. So that was, like, those were kind of, like, the two things that I was battling. Yeah. And I think that's why we had, like, a rough start. It was because also, like, you didn't have a really good dating past either. And you were really looking to date and date and date. And, like, that wasn't helpful for us.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I definitely... with you, why I think it was rushed as well is because I had been dating around and it never felt right, and then with you, like, everything clicked and you were funny.
But we still, like, brought in our expectations from our past experiences. Like, how I was saying, like, we were both rushing into things because of our own experiences. You wanted to date someone because that's all you knew, and I felt like I was just older and I was, like, ready to be in a relationship. So I was like, all right, well, if we're both putting in the effort to make it work, even though it didn't feel like the right intentions, maybe, but I didn't really know. I don't know. It just, there's something that we both brought to the table that was wrong, but right at the same time. Yeah. It's kind of what I'm saying. It's not a bad thing. I'm just talking about experiences. Like, like, I was going into it with a different attitude than you were, just because of my dating experiences. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just, like, ready to settle down. You're just like, I really want a girlfriend. And we realized that, like, after getting to know each other, it was so much deeper than that. And it wasn't about getting married just to have someone to get married to, or being in a relationship just so you can be in a relationship. Like, this sounds kind of bad, but I'm just talking about, like, being realistic with expectations going into any dating. I was serious. Keely's like zoning out right now.
I'm just not sure where you're going.
No, I'm saying, like, realistic expectations going into meeting someone for the first time. Like, I know you differently than I knew you back then. Yeah. So how we went into dating wasn't the same way we go into putting in effort in our relationship right now, which is all that I was basically trying to say.
I definitely don't think we would have thought where we are right now is where we were going to be. Because we really had a rough time in the beginning because of the stuff that we brought. That's all I was saying. No, yeah. I know we skipped over the first date, but I was just saying, like, it was really hard because we rushed. Yeah. It brought up a lot of different issues because we rushed. And I think because we both, what we felt, though, after we did bring those expectations of, like, we want it to be rushed, but once we figured out that it wasn't going to work if it was rushed, and we really went into all of our issues and we started dealing with them, and we started setting up boundaries, and we started building a healthy foundation, then we really started to click, and it felt
and
like
we really liked each other after we got rid of our own garbage. That was what it was.
Yeah, it took a while for us to really focus on our relationship and dive into the real things that were going on besides all the lovey stuff, because we were realizing that all the time we were just having so much fun and doing all of the first date flirty stuff, but we weren't really focusing on what the real
getting to
were.
getting to know each other for who we were. So anyway, that was just a little bit of the deep stuff that I wanted to kind of dive into.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's when you find someone that you think that you click with and it really does feel good, you just don't want to let that go. You just want to focus on that one key piece, that it's working, it's fun, and you're really, really liking this person. And you don't dive into those issues that you maybe have or you need to talk about and, go a little bit deeper with. So, yeah, we just had a lot of fun and we clinged on to that. But once we really dove into all of that, we just skyrocketed. Now, obviously, we both quit our jobs and we're working together full time and really spending a lot of time together and learning how to manage that. And I think we do really well. I know it's a lot of time together, but we definitely have grown and we make our relationship as healthy as we possibly can.
Yeah,
which I love.
I think we should have another episode on what it's really like behind the scenes of dating and, being in a business or just being in our relationship in general, because, there's so many different ups and downs that we have to go through, on a daily basis. It doesn't end. But I think something to take away from, the first parts of our dating was that we rushed into things, and I think we were so close to ruining it all because of the mistakes that we did in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I want to kind of dive into what that was like a little bit. So we were talking about how we were FaceTiming a lot, we were talking a lot, we put high expectations on meeting. We were like, I want you to be the one. That was it, because we didn't want each other to actually be the one. We just wanted to end the dating misery, and we wanted to find the one.
But we really liked each other, too.
Of course. But also, our garbage expectations were hurtful.
Yeah.
So we met in person. She got out of the car. I was like...
No, I picked you up, remember? I drove down.
Yeah. Okay, so she was driving her nice Jeep, but she was cruising her cool Jeep. It actually got stolen, by the way. So we'll get into another story about that another time. But she was driving down to see me. She drove up, and I walked out of my apartment, and I was pumped up before. I was listening to my favorite music. I was dancing.
Why are you not nervous? I was so nervous.
I was really nervous.
I usually don't get that nervous, but with her, I felt like I was about to meet my future wife or something.
That was what we were saying to each other. This has to be it. So it's of course, we would be dead nervous. I would. So I walked out, and I felt really good. I was looking good, I was smelling good, and I was like, this is going to be a really good date, and I'm excited. So then I got into your car, and I remember you staring at me, and you were like, it kind of was like your jaw drops.
Really?
That's what it felt like. And I may be over-exaggerating, because I felt like I looked good. But at the time, no, I think you may have said something that I looked good. I don't know.
I think I said, you're so pretty or something.
Yeah. Immediately when I got into the car. And then we drove, because I wanted her to find a parking spot, because we were just going to hang out in my house for a while. Bad date idea, by the way, also.
Yeah, she didn't really plan it, but I guess her intention was to get to know me.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it casual. I was like, let's get to know each other. So we were driving, and then she looks up at a cat that was on an apartment. And what did you say?
No, I don't know.
Okay, she was.
I was so nervous. Okay, I was really nervous.
She was just babbling nonsense.
Yeah, I was so nervous. I don't even know. I literally never get like that, but with her, I didn't even know what to say.
So we got inside. Am I missing any details of anything else that happened?
I have no idea. I was just remember being so zoned out, so nervous. I didn't even know.
So she blacked out pretty much the entire date.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine. But we
got upstairs.
We were talking to each other, in my house. I had my puppy Max at the time. Keely wasn't a huge fan of her then.
Yeah, but now I'm her second mom, and I love her more than anything.
But we were just, like, taking the time to get to know each other. Like, we were being flirty with each other, but also it was, like, awkward because Keely didn't know that I was super quiet. Like we talked about in the last podcast episode.
Yeah, because from her Instagram, she was so loud. I mean, she had songs on Spotify and iTunes, and, like,
That
I was
doesn't
like,
mean
oh,
I'm a loud
I
person.
I know, but you just, like, really put yourself out there, and I assumed. You're right.
You did assume.
Yes, but then she was, like, really quiet, and I'm, like, a really loud person, even though I was, like, awkward and nervous.
As an introvert for me, like, it was so great that she was a conversation, like, heavy person because it takes a lot for me to want to have a conversation, so she was, like, leading all of it, and I was like, oh, thank God, like, it's not just two introverts just sitting there, like, minding each other's business, minding their own business. So, yeah, we were talking, getting to know each other, and I was like, you know what, like, I'm hungry, let's go get food. So, she's a huge, I think we talked about this in another
I'm giving
episode.
her a dirty look right now.
She's so upset that I did this, but I was fine with it, and I'm still fine with it to this day. I took her to Chipotle, okay? I took her to Chipotle because I didn't want to take her on, like, a super romantic date before we got to know each other. Again, because I didn't need to impress you. I wanted to keep it casual because I was literally down to get to know you.
Yeah.
And I'm still sticking with that. I love that. I love that I did that. Because Chipotle is classic. Everyone can eat there. If you don't love Chipotle, get out of here. Not a fan of you. But we went to Chipotle and we brought it back. We ate it. And
you, like, barely ate. I think you were nervous or
yeah, I usually have a hard time, like, eating when I'm, like, stressed. So barely ate. But then we were talking. We were hanging out.
Laughing.
And then what?
I don't know. She was asking me, like, just different questions about my life, and we were really getting along. But it was starting to get dark, and so I was like, I don't know. I guess she leaned in.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were just sitting there, and I was laughing, and then she, like, leaned in, and then she kissed me.
How was it?
It was good. I was still nervous, though. It was really good, but I was definitely nervous. And then what did you ask me? You asked me if I wanted to go into your room, and I was like, no, I'm okay right now.
I didn't know you were going to disclose this.
Yeah. She was like, do you want to go into my room and just, like, lay down? And I was like, no. I was just like, I need to go
Again,
home.
another bad move on my part. Like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have asked that. There was no, like, bad intentions behind it. It was just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I need to go home.
So
Were you nervous when I said that?
No, because that was okay.
It was good,
If you didn't want to do anything, that was fine. So then we moved. We moved to leave, and then that was.
Yeah,
it.
you walked me out to my car. It was a really nice date. Like, it really was, like, nice getting to know each other. And then we saw each other, like, a day later. You remember?
Did we?
Yeah, because I had soccer in...
Oh, yeah. So I went up to go see her.
You met me. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
after my practice, you should meet me.
Yeah.
I was at the time, I was playing Summer League for the semi-pro team in San Diego. And Danny drove up, and she saw me after practice. And I think we went to, like, McDonald's.
Yeah. But it was cool. Like, then we had just, like, little dates, and I don't know, we were just, like, feeling each other out. But I want to get into, like, the more serious stuff in another episode. But just first dates in general, like, they're nervous. They're supposed to be
no right way to do
nerve-wracking.
it.
Yeah, there's no they're great first dates. There's no, like, right way to go about it. It's just however you and the other person feel is necessary. But I just kind of wanted to talk about, like, again, how hard it was because all of it was led with expectations. Like, literally, we were saying to each other that we wanted it to be the one. And again, like,
Put a
I
pressure.
always just want to talk about the emphasis of, like, staying clear of moving so fast and how it actually hurts so badly.
Yeah.
Because if we just took it slow, if we just went into it with, like, an open mind and open heart,
Like, oh, like, if it doesn't work, then
it would be okay, you know? But just, like...
You're like, this has to work.
Yeah, but we said it to each other. It's not even like we said it to ourselves. Like, we were saying it to each other, and, like, we were just stirring up nonsense, you know? So I wish that part was a little bit easier, but I'm still sticking to I liked that first date. I liked that we went to Chipotle. I liked that we had our first kiss. Just feeling it out, even
Do you
though...
still like me?
Yes. I think so.
No, I think our love for each other has grown so much more because
Yeah, we're not the same people that we
no,
met when
we're
we
definitely
first were.
different. I mean, you can probably even tell just by the stories, and if you've listened to our podcast for a while, you're like, whoa,
But we
you
just
guys
learned,
were doing that?
Yeah, we learned so much from our own mistakes, and that's why we try to teach it here right now, because we've been through years of garbage, and we want to save you the trouble of going through your own years of garbage too. So I hope all of this helps, and I can't wait for more podcast episodes about this.
Thank you so much for listening. We did record this on the day of that we're posting it, so thank you so much for staying with us, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Make sure you leave a 5-star review if you like this podcast, and we can't wait to hear from you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.